Good morning, everyone. I think we're good to get started. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. The time is 10:45 a.m. This proceeding is hereby called to order. This is a public proceeding and proper notice has been provided. We are convening in person and on Zoom. This hearing is being audio and video recorded, so parties are asked to please speak loudly and clearly. This is an adjudicatory hearing in the matter of Stanley Clerge. The commission is represented by Attorney Timothy D. Hartnett, and the respondent is represented by Attorney Kevin B. Coyle. My name is Elizabeth Smith, and I'm the hearings administrator for the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. The Honorable Judith A. Cowin will serve as the presiding officer of this hearing. As a reminder, parties and witnesses are instructed to use initials when referring to any alleged victims or minors. And this matter is now before Judge Cowin.
And good morning.
Morning, Your Honor.
I'd ask counsel for the parties to please introduce themselves, starting with the commission.
Timothy Hartnett for the commission.
Kevin Coyle for the Stanley Clerge.
Stanley Clerge, Springfield Police Officer.
Thank you. The procedure will be as follows. The party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, introduce exhibits, cross-examine witnesses, submit evidence, make objections, bring motions, and present oral arguments. The commission shall present its case first. The commission may, if desired, make a brief opening statement. The respondent may follow with an opening statement or may defer the opening until the presentation of the respondent's case. Each witness will be sworn immediately before testifying. Cross-examination shall occur immediately after any witness testimony has been received. Any redirect or cross-examination will be in my discretion. Please reference exhibits using the redacted exhibit binder provided to you. Please use the Bates numbers located at the bottom of the page. To the extent the parties have agreed on any exhibit as a joint exhibit, please so state when initially referencing the exhibit. As you know, the rules of evidence do not apply in this proceeding. Evidence will be admitted if it is relevant and not privileged and is the kind of evidence on which reasonable persons are accustomed to rely in the conduct of serious affairs. Also, it is not necessary to take formal exceptions to rulings that I make concerning the admission of evidence. The parties may make closing statements or arguments at the close of the evidence. My function as hearing officer will be to preside over the taking of evidence and to rule on objections to the evidence and on motions. Before we proceed, are there any preliminary matters that you would like to discuss? Mr. Hartnett?
No, Your Honor. It's my understanding that the exhibits are none of them are objected to, so we're going to be offering them all into evidence.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, fine. Mr. Hartnett, do you wish to make an opening statement?
I do. Thank you.
Please
Could
proceed.
I address one matter, Your Honor?
I
you
just asked
indicate-
if you had any
I'm
questions.
sorry. You indicated closing arguments. I think at the conference, I indicated that I would prefer to submit a brief, and I think you allowed that.
That's fine. Yes, I did, and that is fine. And we'll discuss the timing of that at the end of the proceeding. Okay, Mr. Hartnett?
Thank you. Your Honor, through the testimony presented today and the documents, audio, and video already submitted in this case, the Division of Police Standards will prove by clear and convincing evidence that the commission can and should decertify the respondent, Springfield Police Officer Stanley Clerge. Because, 1, he was suspended by his appointing authority for disciplinary reasons. 2, he engaged in violent misconduct against an individual we refer to today as PA. And 3, when the division questioned him about his conduct, he was untruthful. Additionally, the division will prove by substantial evidence that unless the respondent is decertified, the commission can and should order significant retraining because he was suspended by his appointing authority for disciplinary reasons, he was untruthful, and he would benefit in his job performance if retrained. Specifically, the evidence will show that on January 10th, 2023, the respondent hit PA repeatedly and threw her head into a bedroom wall, and that he did so with so much force that PA's head left a large hole in the wall. You will hear testimony from Springfield Police Detective Samantha Jones, who spoke with PA on the day of the incident, observed and documented her injuries, and observed and documented the hole in the wall. You will also see the pictures that Detective Jones took on that day. You will also be asked to review and consider PA's frantic 911 call from that day, video that captured a private conversation she was having with her mother in Spanish, and her sworn affidavit from that day. You will also be asked to review and consider the body-worn camera footage from multiple Springfield police officers, which captured the hole in the wall and PA's repeated and consistent statements about what occurred. The evidence will also show that the respondent made false and misleading statements to the division. You will be asked to review and consider his statements when interviewed by the Division of Standards. You will see that when he was asked about the hole in the bedroom wall, he falsely and misleadingly claimed that he had never seen the hole and that he was unaware of how and when the hole was created. Now, the division recognizes that the respondent's criminal case was dismissed after PA refused to testify at trial. So this is not a simple criminal conviction case. However, under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 6E, Section 10B4, the Commission has the authority to suspend or revoke an officer's certification if it finds by clear and convincing evidence that he was suspended or terminated by their appointing authority for disciplinary reasons. And you'll be asked to review and consider the records of the Springfield Board of Police Commissioners, records which will show that the board found that the respondent engaged in misconduct on January 10th, 2023, including a specific finding that he was not civil and respectful to PA during the alleged altercation. And based on their findings, the board ordered the respondent to be suspended for 10 days without pay and to attend an unspecified employee assistance program. As a result of suspension, the commission now has both the authority and discretion to suspend and revoke the respondent's certification. Additionally, or alternatively, under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 6E, Section 10D, the commission has the authority to order retraining if it finds by substantial evidence that the officer was suspended or terminated by their appointing authority for disciplinary reasons, was untruthful, or simply that they would benefit from in their job performance if retrained. Now, when deciding which of these actions to take, whether it's revocation, suspension, and or retraining, the commission is neither bound nor limited by the findings of the Springfield Board of Police Commissioners, nor is it bound or limited by the fact that the respondent's criminal charges were dismissed. Consistent with the objectives and purpose of the commission, it can and must consider all of the evidence it has of the respondent's misconduct and his overall fitness to serve as a police officer. In this case, there will be clear and convincing evidence that the respondent engaged in violent, assaultive, unprofessional, and unbecoming conduct towards another human being, and that he was untruthful. For these reasons, the division will ask that you first find that he engaged in the alleged misconduct, and second, ask that you recommend that the commission exercise its discretion and revoke his certification. Or if he is not decertified, that you recommend that they order him to attend the only sufficient and appropriate retraining, which would be the Intimate Partner Abuse Education Program, formerly known as the Batters Program. Thank you.
Mr. Coyle, do you wish to make an opening at this time?
Would, Your Honor, there's one issue that occurred to me in listening to the commission's opening statement. The order to show cause, which is what led us here, specifies the scope of the allegations that are before this hearing. And I think that some of the suggestions made by counsel go beyond the language of the order to show cause. Now, I know that the order to show cause was not enumerated as an exhibit in our pretrial memorandum, but in light of that issue, if you ultimately decide that it is a fair issue, I think the order to show cause should be entered as an exhibit.
Do you have any problem with that?
I have no problem offering it as an exhibit.
Okay, that may be done. What exhibit number will we use for that?
We will use Exhibit U.
You.
Exhibit U.
Okay. The order to show cause is marked as Exhibit U. Mr. Coyle, you may proceed with your opening.
Thank you. Beyond that, this is basically a credibility issue that's before you. We will point out, primarily in our brief, some inconsistencies or omissions in the account given by the complainant in this case, and ask you to consider that when you're considering the credibility of the witnesses and what findings you make in light of the standard that is in effect here, which is by clear and convincing evidence. The testimony, as you're perhaps aware, is limited here to, as I understand it, Detective Jones from the Springfield Police Department and Officer Clerge is going to testify. To my knowledge, the only instance in which the complainant's version of this was actually the subject of testimony, subject to cross-examination, was the hearing before the Springfield Police Commission. And at that hearing, which is a civilian board appointed by the mayor to oversee the Springfield Police Department, she testified at that hearing, and the Board of Police Commissioners did not credit her testimony. And I certainly will be commenting that in my brief, but I hope that that's something that you'll bear in mind as you listen to the evidence that comes in today. And I guess I would let it go at that.
Thank you. Mr. Hartnett, please call your first witness.
The commission calls Detective Samantha Jones.
Swear the witness.
Do you prefer?
You can do it.
Jacob? Morning. Detective, I will be swearing you in. Just before we do that, I want to remind you to please refer to any of the individuals or alleged victims involved using initials. So with that, do you solemnly and sincerely affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Detective. Can you state your name for the record?
Samantha Jones,
And where do you work?
Springfield Police Department.
What's your rank? Or what's your job there?
Springfield, a detective in the Special Victims Unit.
And how long have you been a member of the Springfield Police Department?
8 years,
And how long have you been a member of the Special Victims Unit?
2.5.
Were you in the Special Victims Unit on January 10th, 2023?
Yes,
Prior to January 10th, 2023, did you know Officer Stanley Clerge is sitting in this courtroom?
No.
Okay. Did you ever work with him?
No.
Okay, you never socialized?
No.
Do you recall being responding to an incident involving Officer Clerge on January 10th, 2023?
yes.
What were you called to do?
I was called for photos for a domestic statement.
And who was there when you arrived?
Officer wise or
Yeah, when you first arrived, who was there?
There was Officer Soto, Officer Sierra. At the time, Lieutenant Dunn, myself, and Sergeant Podolsky.
Can you just put up that screenshot real quick?
Sure, Exhibit S, a screenshot?
Yeah,
Yes. Zoom out. Can you see this?
yeah. We need to shrink. it.
Yeah.
Or scroll around so we can. There we go. Director Jones, you can see this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to January 10th, 2023, you were wearing your you had body worn camera on you, correct? Okay. And do you understand that there was footage taken from that body worn camera? Okay. Do you recognize this photo as coming from your body worn camera from that day?
Yes.
You reviewed it before?
Yes.
Sorry.
It would just be helpful if you could identify the officers in this picture.
So the one in the plain jacket, that's Sergeant Podolsky. The one with the gold badge, that's Lieutenant Dunn, now Captain Dunn. Mustache, Officer Sierra, and then beard, Officer Soto.
Thank you. Oh, and just before we leave, at the bottom of this, can you see the timestamp here?
There's also a screenshot in the exhibit binder. It's the last page, I believe. Maybe easier to see.
See that orange timestamp?
2023, 4:04 p.m.
So that's roughly about the time you arrived.
Yes.
Did you speak with these other officers when you arrived?
Yes.
What information did you receive from the officers?
Just a brief brief narrative of what took place while they spoke with the victim. And then we went in to speak with the victim.
And so you went in the house. I'm gonna refer to, we mentioned, the judge referred to, mentioned it earlier, but we're gonna refer to the alleged victim as PA. So if I refer to PA, you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Did you speak with PA?
Yes.
Where did you talk with her?
In
Initially.
the house, in the living room initially.
Can you describe her appearance and demeanor?
Upset. She had been crying, a little disheveled.
What did she tell you?
She said that she had just got into a physical altercation with her boyfriend, also the father of her children. She said he assaulted her.
And did she tell you that his name,
Yes.
what was his name?
Stanley Clerge.
Did she explain where he works?
Yes.
At some point, did you go in her bedroom?
Yes.
What did you observe about the bedroom?
So there were things thrown around, floating on the bed, hole in the wall on the left side. The crib had been flipped upside down.
The crib or a table?
Table. Well, table.
And did you take photos of the bedroom?
Yes.
If you could just display Exhibit G.
Exhibit G, yes.
Zoom in as much as we can.
Is that,
We'll go, yeah, that's the right one. If we could just go down to the scroll through if we could scroll through the whole thing, just so.
Sure.
And just so you know, Detective Jones, there's a copy of this in front of you too, so you can take a look, Exhibit G, it's in front of you, that might make it easier for you. Aside from the booking photos at the top, you took these photos, correct?
Yes,
Are these photos of the bedroom?
yes,
Um, And did these photos accurately reflect the bedroom as it looked when you were there?
yes,
Um, And on the second page of those photos, there's a photo with an individual standing there. Keep scrolling
Oh,
down. Yep.
sorry, this page?
Yep, that one. An individual standing next to a red scarf of some sort. Who is that individual?
PA,
Thank you. And the hole that's next to PA, is that the hole you were referring to on the wall?
yes,
Was that hole consistent with what PA was telling you about the physical altercation with Officer Clerge?
yes.
About how big was that hole?
It was like the size of a head,
What was the shape of it?
circular, oval,
And where in the room was this located?
on the left side of the wall.
Behind the door? Was the hole was higher than the doorknob though?
Yes,
And if you could scroll back up. Oops, sorry, not that far.
Oh.
Just right there. And so, is that black table, is that the table you're referring to? It's
yes,
flipped over, okay. And that was consistent with what PA was telling you about the altercation?
yes.
What exactly did she say happened during that altercation?
She said that they had gotten to an argument over another female. He got upset. He then lashed out on her, grabbed her, started throwing her around the room. Yeah, he started throwing her around the room, assaulted her. Then he took off. She ended up calling the cops.
And how did she explain the hole in the wall?
Door into the wall.
And did you take sorry, did PA allege any injuries?
She said she had a headache. She had the injuries to her arms and her back.
And did you photograph the injuries to her arm and her back?
Yes,
Okay, and are those the photos that are in this exhibit G?
yes,
And so. And were those injuries consistent with what she was telling you?
yes.
Did you speak with PA at any point about any history of domestic violence between her and Officer Clerge?
I did. She said they did have a history, but she never called the police prior to this incident.
Did you have any conversation about the abuse prevention order?
Yes.
So what was the nature of that conversation?
Asked her if she wanted to get one. She said yes. Myself and Sergeant Paderski transported her down to 130 Pearl Street, where she filled out the affidavit for an emergency order. I then called the judge. The order got issued.
Going back to the house for a second. No, it's okay. Other than you and the other police officers and PA, who else was in the house?
Children.
Were there any EMS? Okay. Do you know if EMS were there before?
I don't know.
So what happened to the children when you went to the station?
Children stayed back because believe mom showed up.
PA's mother?
Yes.
Now, at the station, you indicated you assisted her with getting an abuse prevention order. Did she, if you want to take a look, you don't have to put up on the screen. You can just take a look at Exhibit M in your binder. You can take this down too, sorry. Okay, if you could go to the page number at the bottom, PST 0351. I believe it's the last page in the exhibit. You recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's affidavit
An affidavit for what?
for emergency restraining order.
Were you present when this affidavit was completed?
Yes.
Who completed it?
PA
When did she complete it?
that night.
Before you got the order?
Yes.
And if you could go to the third page of that same exhibit, it's got page number ending in 348. Sorry, the next page, 349.
Could I ask you to use your base numbers?
Yep, it ends PST 0349. That's the page I want to be on. So if you want to go.
I'm a little confused. I think the small letters are your numbers, right?
Nope,
The-
the big ones.
Yeah, those.
The other one.
Are you referring to the Bates numbers that you used in the right corner? Bottom
Yes,
right
in the bottom right corner, the big.
Okay.
Okay, those are not the page numbers that are used in the little table of contents.
Yeah, we, in the table of contents, we used our own Bates numbers, so everything has the.
I'm just making.
Well, it'll
easier for us.
be Clerge redacted 76, if that's easier.
76, okay.
Yep.
Let's do this come right on here.
And just a second ago, you indicated that the affidavit was completed before you got the order, correct? Okay, and it says on this, you see on this document, it says the date of the order and the time of the order.
Yes.
What's the date of the order?
January 10th, 2023,
What time was it issued?
6:19 PM.
Thank you. Now, after this order was issued and you were at the station, did anything else happen with PA?
She complained about a headache. So she went to the hospital.
Okay, who called for name? How did she get to the hospital?
I called for an ambulance.
Why'd you call for an ambulance? Because she was complaining about her head?
Yes.
And do you know where the ambulance took her?
I believe Bay State.
You could go, take a look at Exhibit H.
And again, what would the base number, the small base?
Clerge redacted 37. Okay, you indicated that she went to Bay State. And if you look at this document, it says Emergency Department Discharge Summary, Bay State Medical Center. Is that the hospital you're referring to?
Yes.
And it says the visit date of January 10th, 2023, and a time of 7:18 PM.
Yes.
That sound correct? This is when she went to the hospital around that time?
Yes.
No further questions?
Restrain myself and stay seated.
You may proceed. If you want to stand up, you may,
Yeah, I would.
however you're more comfortable.
Detective Jones, when were you appointed a police officer?
2016, May 31st.
And I think you said you've been assigned to the Special Victims Unit for 2.5 years. And do you have a specific assignment within that unit?
In the Special Victims Unit?
Correct. There's no further differentiation between tasks or anything in there?
No.
Okay. And you were dispatched to the location where this alleged event occurred, is that correct?
Yes.
Who dispatched you there?
When I walked in, Sergeant Podersky said, let's go see him. Got a call.
So your immediate supervisor, and what were you told about that when you were sent to that location?
When we got there, the officers explained what happened.
I'm asking you what the sergeant who sent you there, when you originally were sent there, do you recall what background he gave you, what he said you were being sent there for?
No, he just said we had a call.
And so who did you first speak to when you arrived at that location?
I went over to Officer Sierra and Officer Soto.
Okay. And eventually you came and you talked to PA, the complainant in this case, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know how long after the incident occurred that you arrived on scene?
I don't know.
And I gather that you spent some time there taking photographs and speaking to people, is that correct?
Yes.
How long would you estimate you were on scene?
I don't know. It was,
Well, let's then try to take this. So initially you spoke to one of the officers, is that correct?
yes,
And did you speak to any other officers?
just Officer Soto and Officer Sierra
And as a result of that, what did you do?
to the house to speak with PA.
Okay. And how long were you in the house with her?
Don't know. Probably about 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know.
Okay. And when you left there, did you leave there with PA?
Yes.
And so she was in your cruiser when you left there?
Yes.
And you proceeded to police headquarters at 130 Pearl Street? What did you do when you arrived there?
We walked her upstairs to the Special Victims Office. I gave her the paperwork for the emergency restraining order. She filled it out. I waited until she finished, then called the judge.
When you were at the location and that hole was pointed out to you, did you speak to any other of the residents of the home when you were there?
The children?
Correct. Do you remember seeing any of the children there?
Yes,
And how many do you recall?
maybe 4.
And what were their ages as best you would estimate?
I didn't ask her. I don't know.
Did you make any inquiry as to whether that hole or that damage to the wall possibly was there prior to that evening?
No, I just went off of what the lady told me,
Okay.
the PA told me.
Now, the document that's been put into evidence, the discharge instructions for PA upon leaving the hospital. Did you stay with her at the hospital?
I never went to the hospital with her.
Okay.
She left from the station in the ambulance.
Did you have any role in obtaining those records?
No,
Are you aware of whether anyone has ever obtained the actual hospital records of her initial contact, what she was diagnosed with,
I'm not aware of anything.
what she said, how she described, how she suffered any injuries she complained about?
Not aware.
Okay, so you're not aware of anyone having obtained those records?
No,
So you don't know what she may have said to the triage nurses or whoever she dealt with in the emergency room? You don't know how she may have described whatever had happened? And you don't know if these discharge instructions are just precautionary instructions they would give anyone who claims to have had a head injury and is having a headache.
Yes,
Do you know Officer Clerge? Have you ever worked with him?
no,
Do you have any social relationship with him?
no,
Have you ever had any contact with him at all prior to this incident? Did you go to the academy with him? So you didn't ever socialize with Officer Clerge, go out to dinner with him or do anything like that?
no.
I have nothing else.
Do you have anything?
No.
You may be excused. Thank you.
Just for the record, the officer can be excused from the rest of the day. She's got to get back to work. If that's okay.
You may be excused for the day.
Thank you.
And you may call your next witness.
I have no additional witnesses, Your Honor.
If I could request a short break, I noticed that my client has furiously been writing notes and it would be
How long a
acceptable.
break do you need?
5 minutes.
Okay, fine. 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Oh. Mr. Coyle, you may proceed.
Officer Clerge. Please state your name for the
Just 1
record.
minute.
Excuse me, just for the record, I do need to swear the witness in. And I'd like to remind you, when referring to any alleged victims, please use their initials. Do you solemnly and sincerely affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And please speak up. It's hard to pick up the audio sometimes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move that closer. Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Stanley Clerge, Springfield police officer.
And how old are you, Officer Clerge?
I am 39 years old.
And where were you born?
Born in Brooklyn, New York.
And where have you resided in your life?
Born in Brooklyn, raised in North Philadelphia. Raised also in West Palm Beach, Florida. And last is Springfield, Massachusetts.
Did you have any law enforcement employment prior to joining the Springfield Police Department?
No.
And at some point in time, you met PA, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you tell the Tribune, I guess the hearing officer, when that was?
I believe it was around 2002. We worked together at Walmart in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we knew each other for a year prior to dating.
And at some point in time, you became involved with her romantically, is that fair to say?
Correct, after a year.
And at some point, did you move in together?
Yes, I believe in 2004, she relocated to Massachusetts with her parents, with her family. She was pregnant with my child, and I moved up to Massachusetts to be with her.
Now, did she have some children prior to meeting you?
Yes, 2 other children with 2 other fathers.
And did those children live with you when you moved in with her initially?
Yes,
And do I understand correctly, the first time you actually were living together was in Massachusetts?
yes,
And did you have employment at that time?
Yes, I got a transfer from Walmart from West Palm Beach to Springfield, Mass.
And at some point, you decided to explore and pursue a career in law enforcement, is that correct?
Yes, years after, 2004, I became an officer in 2017.
And what prompted you to take that step?
I was primarily in warehouse employment, Walmart, PFG, Big Y. And every time someone would say, "You're very good at speaking to people, very good at de-escalating. You know how to, you work smart, you could work good with people. Have you ever thought about doing law enforcement?" Just coming from boss and supervisors, and I never took them seriously until later on, a couple years later, when I said, "This might be a good career path for me."
And so at some point you took the exam,
Correct.
and when were you appointed?
2017, and the academy was in June. I graduated in December.
And what have your assignments been since you graduated from the academy?
I've been a patrolman since graduation, working various shifts, night shift for dog watch, day shift, and 4 to 12.
And has this all been in uniform?
All in uniform, correct?
Basically, the uniform squad answering calls for service?
Yes, answering calls, yes.
And your relationship with PA, was that smooth sailing right through?
No, we had issues prior to me being a police officer. It wasn't all great, no.
Well, let me ask you more specifically, did she have some issues with emotional issues or mental health issues?
She was diagnosed with a lot of mental disorders which everybody in the family knew about. Her mother, father, and
Can you recall what those diagnoses were?
bipolar, manic, and borderline personality disorder.
And were those diagnosed prior to you becoming involved with her?
She had the effects of it, but when I was with her, that's when she went to the doctor to get the actual diagnoses. So she was dealing with it prior, but nobody knew what it was.
But she had, are you saying she had not been treated for it?
Yeah, she would visit doctors, but nobody would prescribe her until actually I was with her. We had our baby, our child, and they finally diagnosed her with those 3 ailments, and they gave her medication for those.
And do you recall what the medication was?
One that stuck out was, there was various, but the last one, the strongest one was Klonopin, I believe.
And how did that, well, let me back up. What were the symptoms or activities that led to her seeking medical treatment for her behavior?
She would often have mood swings, would self-harm, break things, get upset about the tiniest things, and she never understood why. I would also often visit the doctors with her. She would permit me to be in there, and she would just tell them, "I'm just going through a lot. I'm depressed, anxiety," and they ultimately came up and said, "Oh, you have these ailments, and this will calm things down."
Now, you indicated there were some medications that she took prior to the Klonopin.
Yes, but I don't know the name of those.
Yeah, and you say that those apparently were not effective.
No, they just kept, she'll take them and then she'll call, or she'll use them up very quickly. And then call to reorder, and they'll say, "Well, in order to curb that, we'll give you a stronger one." And then that's when the Klonopin got involved.
And has the Klonopin, resolved the problem?
When she was on it was a night and day. She was very calm, easy to talk to. If you can address issues, you can go on vacation, you could do things, and everything was fine. Um, you know, but when she would be off it, that's when things would escalate. She will just
You're gonna have to keep your voice up.
yeah, when she's wasn't on the medication, that's when things would escalate, and her, she would um this is crazy. So when she's on it, she's fine. She's good. And then she will double up. When I say double up, I mean she will take 2 to go to sleep because that will help with her sleep. The doctor said this will help with your sleep as well as the manic disorder and everything else. And so after it's a 30-day prescribed, she will double up, and then now it's 15 days. You have to wait because they don't want her to, overdose. So she would, during those 15 days, if a cup was out of place or if I came home late, no matter what job I was at or where's I working, she would get upset. My first thing is to calm down, make sure the kids are good, and then if it escalates to yelling and screaming, I said, well, I have to remove myself from the situation. So we'll get to that point. And I always just leave and contact her family or something like that. But she would, self-harm was another big thing. Doctors were well aware. We would go to the doctors. She had suicidal tendencies. She often admitted that to the doctors, which involved DCF at one point to get involved.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last few things and speak a little more slowly?
When she was off the medication, she would often do self-harm. When she wouldn't get what she wanted, if I didn't explain myself correctly or fast enough, she would start to bang on things or bang on walls and break picture frames in the home, glass, tables, anything. And our, the various places that we lived at, our home was, the walls were very fragile, and she would just do it to get my attention because my first inclination is to separate. After I make sure everybody was okay, I'll separate and call her family. But she wanted me to stay, so she would just break things, smash walls, she'll smash windows, she will break glass, and that will continue on when she's off it. So she'll call the doctor, and then the doctor would say, hey, you have to wait the appropriate time. She will call another doctor, and then another doctor. And then she'll send me out there at 2 a.m. for 24-hour CVS or to get the medication after they said, we don't know what else to do to calm you down, because she'll call frantic. And then she'll go visit the doctor in the morning, to see what's going on. And then they'll say, you need more medication, and they'll prescribe her what she needed, but she'll get the temporary one for the time being. And I dealt with that for years.
Now, did any of those events involve violence between the 2 of you?
Things, oh, man. Whenever she get into those episodes, and I try to remove myself from the situation, she will, grab items. If we were in the kitchen, she'll grab knife. If we were in the, living room, she'll grab a statue or something and just throw it against the wall. She'll break TVs and smash phones. So violence towards me with grabbing knife, and she'll just poke it my way and strike me. Not life threatening, but enough to make me, run out of the house. She'll throw hot pots of rice at me. It's just various attacks that I just understand what she's going through. And I said, okay, I'll call her parents. I'll just calm it down and I know what's going on and subdue the situation.
Did you ever call the police?
No, I did not.
Why was that?
The decisions we make, man. So every time I thought about doing that. I always think, okay, they're gonna come in and then you're gonna see a house disarrayed. They're gonna see the kids cry. They're gonna see her yelling and screaming, he did this, he did that to her, when I'm only trying to leave and calm down and be by the kid's side. They're only gonna see that, and then I'm gonna get in trouble, even if I caught. That's how I was thinking. I know. And so I refrained because I wanted to be part of my kids' lives. I tried to do it from afar. I never understood that. So I was like, I tried to stay there as long as I could. And she'll calm down. The parents will help, the sisters, the brothers will help. And say, PA, you're doing it again. Just calm down. And days will pass. And so I never called because she will see the doctors. She'll see psychiatrists. She'll have the medication. She'll go to her appointments. And then when DCF got involved, they will come and do home visits and everything else. And that will calm the situation down. And so I never called because of fear of either I'm going to be wrong for staying there for too long. I don't know. I didn't want to be judged. I don't know. I love my kids so much. I just wanted to be there and help her through her crisis. But that didn't work.
At some point, did you decide the relationship had just gone too far?
Yeah, I believe in July of 2022, I believe. I don't know, came home late. I don't know what I just came home late, and then she was just upset. And she pulled a knife out of me and said, you made me upset. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this more. I know I should have called, but I said, I'm gonna remove myself permanently rather than leave and then come back. Called the parents and everything. And I said, I'm gone. And they tried to talk me back in there and just say, we'll go talk to her. I said, no. I moved in with her two oldest children, and that was living downtown Springfield for the time being until I can get on my feet to leave.
So you moved in with her two older children who were not your sons, is that correct?
Correct, the two that she had prior. And they understood the situation as well. They knew her situation, so they knew how she tended to get. So they welcomed me with open arms and said, just stay here until you get on your feet. And I would help out with various tasks here and there, pay bills and stuff like that.
And have you ever moved back into the house with PA?
No.
Do you contribute financially to the situation with her and your children?
Yes, I would continue to pay the mortgage, which I currently do, all the utilities, which I currently am. The car note, and the cell phone bill, which I'm currently paying, because I understand me being there that long and having that many children. I understand there's certain responsibility. You can't just leave and forget it. So I made sure that I was available. She would visit me at certain jobs, and I'd hand her, money for certain situations if she needed diapers or anything like that, baby milk and formula, stuff like that. But she was not happy that I left.
And but you did from time to time see your children?
Yes, whenever she allowed me to.
And how many children do you have with PA?
Five children.
Recall their ages?
Right now, I believe a boy 18, a girl 13, a boy 11, a boy 4, and a girl 2.
And do they all still reside at the residence where the event happened?
Correct, yes.
Now, let's talk about the incident that happened, I believe, on January 10th. Can you tell the hearing officer what happened?
Okay, so to backtrack, when I moved out in July, I was just working and trying to see the children and help pay the mortgage until I could figure out where to permanently stay. And so I wasn't seeing anyone at that time. I was just working and just doing for me. when I did meet someone later on around November, December time, we were just talking. It wasn't nothing serious. We just met and that's it. So when I went to the house, she called me, I believe, or she called me and my daughter called me as well. I'm sorry, NA called and said, hey, the trash is overflowing at the residence. Can you take care of that? It's been 2-3 weeks. The trash truck, they never put it out. So I said, okay, that's part of the task that I do. I go cut grass, fix anything that's wrong with the residents. So I'll go to Big Y, get some stickers, and then put the stickers on the access trash. She knew I was coming over. PA knew I was coming over. Went there, no turmoil, no nothing. She was upset that I left, but she understood that I had to take responsibilities for certain things in the home. So she accepted me in. I got there in the afternoon. I don't know what time, around 2, 3 o'clock, I believe. My oldest NA, what was it? He resides in the basement. He missed quite some time in school. He was having trouble and he was going to stay back. So I was going to talk to him to get back in school, give him some words of encouragement. When is your next meeting so I can be involved, stuff like that. While doing that, I believe I left my cell phone because I was dealing with the trash and everything. I left my cell phone on his dresser. While talking to him, completely forgot about it. After talking to NA, I went back up outside to finish up with the trash. Everything was done. I was going to leave. No turmoil, no nothing. Nothing was going on. When I came back into the house, because I realized I left my phone, she had the phone in her hand and she was already crying, already distraught, read everything, the whole thing. I asked her what happened. Why do you have my phone? And she said, she said, well, I already called her. I don't want to say anything, called her. And you need to call her back and tell her that it's over and that we're getting married, which we're not married and I did not want to plan to get married. We were separated. We were broken up. And she said, tell her that we're going to get married and it's over. And I already talked to her already. And in the messages, she used my phone. She sent text messages to that person of but it's like vulgar messages about her genitalia and calling her the bitch and all the stuff like that. She was calling her vulgar statements towards her from my phone. And so when that person hung up, she got irritated and she tried to call back, but with no answer. So she said for me to call, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not really. I'm not. I gotta go. And that's why I'm saying. When I saw her that state, I knew I had to remove myself from the situation. So she said, well, if you don't call her back, I'm gonna shatter the phone, and I'm just gonna break your phone. And so I said, I gotta go. You know what? I'm just gonna leave. She threw my phone towards my direction, but it bounced off the corner wall. And I have a case protector on it, so it didn't shatter. So I just retrieved my phone and getting ready to leave. I was getting ready to leave, and then she goes, how could you do this to me? How could you leave our family? And I said, listen, I gotta go. We're not together. I came here for trash. I didn't come here to talk about our relationship or past relationship. I just want to leave. At that time, she was getting escalating. She was getting excited. She was very amped. And that woken up NA, my youngest, which was in the bedroom. And you say, see what you've done? You woken up NA, and NA is screaming, and he said, tend to NA now. Go over there and check on NA, and while you do that, give me the phone so I can call back her. I can call her back and tell her that it's over. And she's doing this while she's crying, frantic. she's getting closer to me. And I said, oh, no, no, it's not gonna end well. This is not good. I gotta leave. This is not good. And so I walked into the room to make sure that the baby, that NA didn't fall out of the crib or bang her head or anything like that, to make sure she was good, that she was good. Once I found that the baby, NA was good, I said, that's it. I gotta go. You know, I'm trying to be compromised here, you know, to calm her down. As soon as I walk into the room and I said the baby's good, and I said I'm walking out, that's when she went for my collar. She went from towards my neck, and it went because I had my phone in my back pocket, and she went for my phone and tried to pull and grab the phone at the same time. And she started to tug and pull, and I said, I have to go. Stop this. The baby's crying. It's too much. She kept screaming, "How could you do this? Just stay with the baby. Just stay here. Stay with the baby. Just call her, tell her it's over. Just come back to me." I said, "No, I have to leave." She started to punch me because I wasn't staying. You know, she started to punch me, try to scratch my face, my neck, reaching for the phone at the same time. So I was trying to. The door's in front of me. I'm reaching for the door as if she's attacking me. She's trying to jump on me at the same time and punch and scratch. And I said, PA, you can't, the baby's right there. You can't do this with the baby there. You can't do that. And she would just punch, grab. I don't care. We're getting married. You got to call until it's over. So I'm trying to like not go for my eyes, my face. And she would just punch the back of my neck. And excuse me, NA was screaming so much, so loudly that the concern had to be on NA at a certain point. So she would, after attacking me and grabbing stuff and throwing at me and falling all over the place, she would throw her body everywhere to get my attention. Like, how could you? And just start banging on things. How could you? How could you do that? And NA is crying. And I go, you know, the baby's crying. So she'll go towards NA. And that was when my little break gave me that little break there of me to open the door and run out. And then as soon as I opened the door to run out, you can hear her just, the room is getting items being thrown around, everything else, like screaming, yelling. And so I said, okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the NA is okay. So as I'm making my way to the door, I slow down to make sure everything's all right. She comes bursting out of the room. NA's still in the crib. She comes bursting out of the room and charging at me. So I try to get to the front door. She blows past me and gets to the front door because I'm not trying to touch her. I'm not trying to remove her from the front door or nothing. I'm trying not to. I go to the side of the door, or the other side, which leads to my patio. So I go there and she bolts towards that door. So I did a maneuver so I can go back around to the front door. And that's when I left and had a Ring camera there and everything, but didn't work. She followed me outside, attacked me all the way outside, in public, you know, cars are going up and down, all the way to my car. I raced to my car, got in there, closed the door, locked it because she was trying to break the windows of the driver's side door. And then the windshield with her bare hands, just try to break it, screaming over and over and over. So I reversed back. There was a school behind us. I reversed back to the school. She was on her feet. She was alert. She was angry, but I needed to leave. I didn't cause this. I didn't come here for this. I just came to do trash. I did not cause this. And she was alert. She was angry. She was upset, and she cried, and she understood that the NA is still in the crib crying. So she eventually gave up and ran back into the house. What I normally do, I just drove to a nearby parking lot and just cried and tried to call her parents when I was picking up, stuff like that. I was just trying to, I didn't call what I was supposed to call, you know, I didn't call for, but I just cried. And then I think about maybe about an hour later, I want to say, that's when Lieutenant Dunn called me and said, where are you? And I said, I'm just frantic right now. I'm just in pieces. And he was like, well, there's a report against you for the alleged assault. And I know you work tonight. And if you intend on coming in tonight, we will take matters at that time. But it's better if you turn yourself in. And I understood the situation and I understood what happened. I understand the gravity of it. So I said, okay. And I turned myself in.
Let me just take you back to the physical interactions between the two of you. Did you ever strike her or do anything with the intention of harming her?
No, my intention was just to leave the house. And she was sort of attacking me, just trying to get out of there as fast as I could.
And you're aware that there are some photographs of some bruises on PA?
Correct. I seen the photographs.
And do you have any explanation of how those might have occurred?
The only one I could come up with was when she was on me, trying to jump on me and losing her balance, throwing her body everywhere around the room, on the crib. She would throw her body on the dresser. She would throw her body on the wall. She was just upset that I was leaving, but I didn't go back into the room to verify anything. Once I left, I made sure that she was able to walk, and when she ran out of the room, I didn't go back, so I wouldn't.
Now, you've seen photographs of this hole in the wall or damage to the wall.
Yes, I have.
And do you know how that was caused?
I don't know. As I was leaving, I don't know, I heard things breaking in the room. She's have tendencies of doing actions like that, but I didn't go back to find out if the turmoil or the depth of the damage.
Were you aware that there was that damage to the wall when you left the house that day?
No, they advised me of it when they read the report. When I read the report.
Can you think of anything that happened during your interaction with her that could have caused damage like that?
I don't know. She during the incident, I had my back towards her because I'm trying to get out, and she's on me, on each side, just thrashing. And then there's stuff on the dresser, lotion bottles and various items. So she would just grab those and started just throwing them at me. And she would try to hold me into the room, and she would lose balance and she would fall. And then once I got out, because she tended to in NA, I get out. I hear more thrashing going around. How could you do this? Screaming, yelling. She stated. So only thing I could think of is that an item could have did that. I don't know, but I didn't go back to check.
And so you just have never saw that damage before you left?
Until they showed me the photos.
Now, after, I think you said that you went to a parking lot and actually, I think you said you cried. Would it be fair to say you were trying to de-stress from the whole situation?
Which is a normal thing for me. I go somewhere, de-escalate, and then I usually just contact a family member or her family member, but I have no family here, and I'd let them know that she's doing it again. If I don't contact, she will contact. She will call them and just tell them what's going on, what she did, and they will come over and de-escalate that situation.
So and then you got a phone call from Lieutenant Dunn. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct. Yes.
And basically on that phone call, did you realize that there was going to be some sort of report or some consequence legally, some criminal consequence to everything that was going on?
Yes. Prior to that, I had no idea that she called or was going to call. She just wanted me to call the female back, but she never told me she was going to call police or anything like that. No.
When Lieutenant Dunn told you, that I guess they had something for you or you needed to come in, did you do that?
Yes, voluntarily. Turned myself in. I didn't I didn't fight against it. I understood what I needed to do. I turned myself in to defend myself legally.
And you were arrested at that point, is that fair to say?
Yes, correct.
Now, there were some court proceedings that followed that. And as part of it, there was a dangerousness hearing, is that correct?
Yes, and also before the dangerousness hearing, I when I was arrested, um, man, I did the 6-hour hold, bailed myself out, had nowhere to stay. The two children I was staying with, her two oldest, obviously they heard what happened, so that was a no-go. And all my friends didn't really know what's going on until so I just slept in my car. I got bailed out around 1 o'clock in the morning, a.m. Slept in my car until the hearing that was scheduled for a 209A hearing. I didn't know nothing about a dangerousness hearing. And went there voluntarily, drove myself to the downtown court, 50 State Street, and willingly walked in there and waited for my chance to get served.
Now, did you have an attorney for any of the proceedings in the court that day?
Yes, I believe his name is Charles Lyon, I believe. It was a court-appointed attorney.
And is that when the dangerousness hearing took place?
Yes, it took place the same time they were serving my 209A restraining order.
And were you ever given the opportunity to testify at that?
Okay. So after waiting from 9 a.m. when court opened, thinking that I'm just going to get served and stay away and then defend myself, they didn't call me until about 1:30 in the afternoon. So I'm sitting sitting there watching other cases get done. I wonder what took so long. I don't know what was going on. Did Charles, the attorney, I'm sorry saying name, sorry, CL, approached me and said, hey, sorry about that. We didn't see you there. Your case is getting called up soon. It's just a 298 thing, so it should be done. And I said, but do you understand that I'm a Springfield police? And he goes, oh, no, I didn't know that. And he said, oh, and they also said something about a dangerous hearing, but they never, I don't understand why would they do that. And we had a conversation maybe 5 minutes prior, and they called me up there and served me my 290 rights. Understood that. And they said, also, we have another proceeding for review of dangerousness hearing for me. I didn't know what that was. He didn't understand why they were proceeding with that. He looked at the record and see that I had no criminal history, not in none of the states I lived in. I had nothing prior, just based on the report. She never said a statement. I never said a statement. They just put the cuffs on me and transferred me out. I asked him what was going on. He says, I don't know. I don't know anything. And they just whisked me to the corner of the courtroom, I believe, in the holding cell. And he said he'll follow up with me. And then they transferred me to Ludlow for, I think it was 3 days in Ludlow and then 4 days in Greenfield.
Ludlow is the House of Correction.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, so you didn't get a chance to tell your side of the story?
No,
Did they take testimony from PA?
not on that day, just the report. They just read the report. And that's it.
The judge simply read the arrest report and determined that you were dangerous?
Correct. Review. It was a review on dangerous.
How long were you held?
3 days in Ludlow House of Corrections. And then, oh man, and gang members in the Ludlow found out that I was Springfield PD and started to threaten. They started coming to my cell and started to try to fight and everything else and try to hurt me. So they transferred me to Greenfield for protection. And I did 4 days there. Now,
Eventually those charges against you were not pressed, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what does that mean? What do you
They were
mean?
dismissed.
Yes, PA drop charges.
Now, you indicated that you have no criminal record in your life prior to this. Is that fair to say?
Yes, correct.
And did you have any disciplinary record at the Springfield Police Department?
No, no,
You ever suspended or reprimanded?
no.
Is there anything else you would like the hearing officer to hear that's relevant to what we're doing here today?
No, no. I truly, I love my children, and I know being there for them cost me a lot, and I just wanted to be there for them. So I think I stayed longer than I needed to, but I try to just be there for them. But it was just too much to stay, and I'm still doing my part to make sure that they're okay, but I couldn't stay. And I know the allegations against me and everything, but I understand the truths and those things happen, but I understand, but I didn't do what they said I did. Me staying too long in a relationship, I understand, but those things there, she always says, I'm going to get your job. Oh man, because prior to this, in October, because I've been out of the house since July. So in October, before the arrest in January, PA said, well, if you don't come back, I'm going to take your job. And I'm going to use the courts, and I'm going to use your bosses to take your gun away and put you inside. And then eventually they believe me and take your job. I said, oh, that's a big, accusation. That's a big statement. So I went to my bosses and I said, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this. She's saying that if I don't come back, this is going to happen. I don't know if I can say their names, but I went to a sergeant. And he said, well, that's a captain's issue. I went to the captain and he said, well, thank you for bringing it up. If she comes around, we'll handle it. I said, okay, so is there anything I need to be done? Any paperwork or anything like that? And he goes, no, if she comes around and harasses, we'll handle it. Just stay away from her. That's it. We'll handle it if she comes around. And nothing came from that. And then I got arrested in January. I tried to, and nothing came from that. But I tried to give them prior warning of what occurred, and they did the best they could, I guess, by giving me advice. But so, yeah, I suppose I take responsibility for staying too long, but I didn't do what she alleged that I did.
In the disciplinary proceeding, you were, I believe, the basis of, and it's in the record in one of the exhibits, for being, I don't know if the proper word is rude or disrespectful to PA, and because you were, based on the fact that you were found to be dangerous in the court proceeding. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you acknowledge that you probably should have self-reported that?
Yes.
Nothing else.
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. You acknowledge that you should have self-reported what?
The incident itself, because it had been, such a really violent incident that he, all talked about that. He should have probably called at that time himself.
Okay.
That was, you'll see a reference to that, I think, in the police commission's findings, that was one of the things that was in their head when they made their decision.
Mr. Hartnett?
Just to clarify, in terms of the criminal charges, she did not drop the charges, correct? They were dismissed after she refused to testify?
Correct. Yes. She refused to testify. Yes.
And they were no pros, they were dismissed for lack of prosecution? After she refused to testify?
I don't know the exact verbiage, but I know she showed up at the court and said, I don't want to pursue this anymore. And I know that I don't know what the proper verbiage is.
You mentioned that you pay all the bills for the house and you pay the rent. And does she,
Wait, is that a question?
Oh,
yes.
Yes, I pay the mortgage and the utilities and various other car notes and so on, yes.
Does PA have any source of income?
I'm
At the,
sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry,
Please
does
speak up.
PA have any source of income?
at the moment, state provided, no. She doesn't have a job, no.
So you're the sole source of income for her and her children,
Uh,
aside from
Besides what,
social services?
correct, yes.
You're a police officer, correct?
Yes,
And as part of being a police officer, it's your job to be observant.
yes,
Okay. So going back to January 10th, 2023, when you were in that room, this is PA's bedroom, correct?
yes,
The incident occurred.
because I moved out, correct,
And that's also the baby's room.
correct. The crib is in there
Okay.
as well.
So if there had been a large hole in the wall when you were there, you would have noticed it, correct?
You mean prior to me, but prior to the incident, or what do you mean? If during the,
We'll take a step back.
okay,
I'll let you-
yeah,
If you indicated earlier that you never saw the hole in the wall,
correct.
correct? So my question to you is, you're a police officer and you're observant. If you were in this room where your child sleeps and there was a large hole, you would have observed it, right? If that had already been there before the incident.
I guess yes, if I walked into the room and I observe a large hole, I would observe a large hole. Yeah,
Okay, thanks. Now, you do acknowledge that there was a physical altercation between you and PA in the bedroom on January 10th, 2023, correct?
yes, correct.
How did she hurt her head?
I don't know the answer to that one. All I know is I was trying to leave and I heard, thrashing about. She was tossing items. She tends to, during that day, she was going towards NA, towards the crib. She would get upset and started to bang and just hit things. And then, so I said, this is the time to exit. When she was trying to attack me, or when she attacked me from the rear, she was off balance. She was not on her feet. I hear things going behind me, but I didn't want to turn around and engage. I wanted to just get out. So I would hold her hands. I would try to hold her hands back and then reach for the door at the same time as she's jumping on me. And then she would lose her balance and fall. I didn't grab items, throw more things. I try to open the door again. She'll slam it shut, push me into the door. And I said, I need to leave because I don't want to engage in this. And so during all that, maybe some injuries may have occurred.
Let me take a look at Exhibit H. Take a look at, it says Clerge redacted 38 on the bottom. Okay. Did you see where it says diagnosis there?
Yes, I see it.
Then you see among the diagnoses, it says concussion.
Yes, I see.
How did she get a concussion?
I don't understand. Maybe when she's fighting me and she's attacking me, when she have falling down and she's hitting things with her hands and throwing her body. I didn't turn around to find out, but maybe she had fell into something, but I did not want to engage or anything like that. And once I got out the room, I seen that she came out the room. I knew that she was able to run. She was able to talk. She was able to lock doors, speak. So I understood that was, I didn't observe any injuries. I just left. I tried to leave to de-escalate. So I don't know exactly how her injuries occurred.
No further questions?
Do you have anything
I
further
have
on
nothing
that?
else.
Mr. Hartnett, you have the discharge instructions here. Did you seek to get any records regarding her initial intake?
I did not have her permission to seek those records, and I did not secure them, no. These were part of the internal affairs record.
Is it possible for you to obtain such records? Or do you need her permission?
I don't know if the hospital I think it's a technical matter, they may have to respond to a subpoena, but whether or not they would and whether or not we'd have to be able to enforce it, I don't know. But typically we would ask for somebody's, if we were asking for somebody's hospital records, we would ask for them to sign it.
It would be helpful to me to see those. Mr. Coyle, would you have any objection if I asked Mr. Hartnett to try to obtain them?
I have no objection as long as I'm given.
All right, Mr. Hartnett, could you make an effort to obtain those, and you can give them to the administrator to be forwarded to me. Mr. Coyle, Mr. Coyle, do you have any objections if I ask your client some questions?
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Clerge, do you have any objections if I ask you some questions?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sure you understand your rights having a police officer.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Yes, I do.
how long did you live with PA's older sons?
Since July until my arrest in January. Of July of 2022 until my arrest in January 2023.
So the night of the incident, you were still living with them?
Correct.
Did you still have your cell phone?
The cell phone in question?
Yes.
Not currently, no.
Excuse me?
Not currently, no.
What happened to it?
Misplaced. I got a new phone.
Okay. Does either counsel want to ask any questions based on what I've just asked?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Coyle?
I don't know if this would be what you were looking for, but there are copies of the text messages that were exchanged between PA and the new friend on that evening. They were referenced in testimony. But there are copies of those if they would be helpful, even though the phone itself is gone.
Who and how were the text messages obtained?
They were provided by Mr. Clerge,
To whom?
initially to the police department.
Yeah, whoever requested, I provided, I also, well, so when I stated she sent text messages to the person that I just met, they wanted to know if there were proof, so I printed out copies of the text messages that matched perfectly with the time of the alleged assault, and provided it with counsel for my criminal hearing, counsel for my department hearing, and it's just was just provided for. I just made copies.
What was the last thing you said?
I just made copies for each of them, the criminal hearing and the department hearings.
And copies of the text messages, did they only include the conversations between the two women, or were there additional text messages?
Just the conversations from my phone to that person, to that woman.
Have you seen these, Mr. Coyle?
I have.
Does counsel have any objection if I request a copy of them? Scott?
Your Honor, I would have to object. I've never heard of them until right now. They've never been mentioned in any of these times. And I mean, well, we're been quite liberal and helpful with authenticity. This is something that I don't have. I don't even know what it looks like. I have no idea how it could even begin to be even authenticated, and it's from a self-serving party. Given the source, I don't know that we could accept it without something else to explain or where it came from or any of that. So
Okay, I understand. These, Mr. Clerge, these were text messages. You printed out the text messages
Correct. Yes.
from your phone.
Yes.
Nobody else, no, to your knowledge, no police department official regarding this incident ever never checked the text messages against your transcript of them.
Yeah. I never went to the department and had them do anything. No one else was involved. I printed out on my
This is
own.
something you printed out.
Yeah.
Okay. So the text messages are only of the transcript of the text messages are only of dialogue between PA and this other woman, is that correct?
Correct. The other woman never responded. It was just mainly PA sending messages.
And there's nothing from you on the transcript of the text messages, is that correct?
Only thing on the bottom of it was that I alerted the other person that I have to turn myself in due to Lieutenant Dunn calling me. So I try to alert people
Okay.
where I was.
Mr. Coyle, Mr. Hartnett has a valid objection, and I was considering asking for the text messages, the transcript, so-called, of the text messages to be turned over to Mr. Hartnett and giving you both an opportunity to argue against why I should or shouldn't see them. However, thinking about it, I don't think they're going to be that relevant because there's no real disagreement. Nobody contests that PA and this other woman had talked back and forth over the telephone.
That's why I never
So,
entered. I didn't
yeah.
think that was an issue. There was this
Yeah,
ugly
yeah.
exchange
I
and
didn't-
everybody
I didn't
acknowledged.
know that that they were so limited when I asked my question. So, Mr. Hartnett, I sustain your objection and I will not press that matter any further. I don't think that they would be of any use to me in the form in which they're described. All right, now, Mr. Hartnett, do you want to make a closing at this time, or do you wish to reserve and submit something in writing?
I can reserve and submit in writing, just so. But there are impounded records that we had discussed, whether or not we would show
Right.
them in a closed session. I'm happy to show them to you now. Or I can, if you prefer, I can just maybe highlight some. And I would ask that you review all of the records, but there were three in particular that I would ask that you review and that I would play now if you're interested. But if that's not your preference, then we don't need to do that. We can.
Close the courtroom and I can see the impounded records now. And the impounded records, Mr. Coyle, are part of the exhibits to which you agreed, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Coyle, based on what you said in our final pre-hearing conference, I understand that you don't want to make a closing now, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
How much time do you need to provide a brief?
For the holidays and everything, I might ask for a little more than the 30 days that I would normally expect. I also like to have the due date on Monday so I can ruin a weekend if I haven't finished it up before then. Could I ask that they be due by January 13th? It's really only about a month away.
Okay, how much time do you need, Mr. Hartnett?
That date sounds fine to me. That would be fine. I think you usually would try to do it quicker, but given the holidays, I think it would be harder to do, so.
All right, any type of closing argument brief that you wish to present will be due by January 13th at the close of business that day, which is 5 o'clock. All right, does either counsel have anything they want to add before we close the courtroom to see the impounded records?
No, Your Honor.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Okay,
All right, at this time, we're going to end the public session. Will we be resuming afterwards or?
no.
Okay, and we will not be resuming the public session afterwards. Thank you. And can you just give us a minute to remove all of the
All right, I'll.
participants?
Yeah.